special,
it
incredible, intense, aggressive,
how
Baltimore
treacherous
City,
sound our
Washington DC,
infrastructure is. But
bridge
yeah,
collapse,
there's no
UK,
ship. I mean,
24.
look how much cargo was on there. So it wasn't like a little light tap. I'm sure the impact of it is much greater than what we can see online. So
we were just hearing from the authorities that it seems there could have been many more people on the bridge, but they did have time. They were warned by the crew of the vessel that they had lost power, and that meant that they could close off the bridge, the authorities, to stop traffic getting over the bridge.
yes, that's what reports are saying. So there was a Mayday call. There's nothing on video that's captured that moment, but I mean, what you see is what we're seeing too online. So it didn't seem like there were many cars on there, and the cars that were left on the bridge were from the construction workers. I hope this is just a wake up call for everyone to hug their families a little tighter, their friends, because no one anticipated for something like this to happen. Hopefully, it was an accident, and I'm sure it was. And there was that distress call. So I just hope people understand that life is short, and we take it seriously because lives were likely lost last night, and it's really unfortunate. But I hope they're able to recover those that have unfortunately suffered last night.
Yeah, Nathan, thank you so much for being with us. That's Nathan Cabrera, who's a resident of Baltimore. We can also speak, as I mentioned, to Brent Howard, who's from the Baltimore County Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much for being with us. Well, I mean, just give us an idea of the importance of that bridge
Incredible,
from an economic point of view to Baltimore and indeed to the state.
It's quite serious, this lost this bridge.
It's a major artery. So it's a major artery that connects really three municipalities: Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. It's a direct route for trucks and for a lot of shipments regionally through this particular area, as well as it's used as another transportation arm from the port. So when the port is one of the largest ports on the East Coast, it does a lot of shipment for our entire country. So the bridge just kind of acts as another artery to kind of bring goods and services through that particular area. So without that bridge, we will be rerouting trucks and sending detours regionally through our particular area. So it is a major impact regionally as well as for our state, and I would think for our nation moving forward.
So obviously huge economic consequences in the short term, really, from the collapse of this bridge. Same question to you as I asked our last guest, really. How shocked were you when you saw
the extent of that damage to that bridge? Look at the width of it. Look how much not knocked down. That one little hit.
Very
incredible.
It was shocking to see the visual
Crazy.
of that bridge, something that I've been looking at since I moved here 20 years ago. So it is part of the city landscape, something that we do look to. But to see that the bridge did fall because of an accident caused by the ship,
it's just so
was not reassuring.
awful, but so peculiarly unusual and very unfortunate to see it like that.
At the time of day, there were very few cars on that particular bridge. There was construction workers doing other particular work. There was some sort of mayday call that was sent out to allow for a little preparation to prevent other cars from being able to interact with that particular intersection. So that's really the good thing going forward. But it is a tragedy, and it's something that we're focused on currently right now from our public partners. Is really a search and rescue for the victims and reaching out to families to let them know what's happening with their loved ones that were affected last night.
Well, we were hearing from Sumi, our correspondent at the scene, that there has been concern right across the United States about the state of infrastructure. But did you have any concerns about structural concerns about this bridge? The authorities have certainly said there weren't any structural reasons for this collapse. It was simply that it was hit by this huge cargo ship, which was clearly very heavy and fully laden with cargo at the time.
Yes, I think that's really what we're getting as we're getting more information. That bridge is, as I said, a main artery. It's heavily traveled. It's regularly maintained, and it was up to code. So that's something that we're not looking toward for this particular bridge as being part of a decaying infrastructure that has been mentioned previously in other reports.
So one pillar all it takes to knock the whole bridge down. That's just madness, guys.
At this particular point,
Blimey now.
that the ship lost power and lost steering. So that's why the impact was the way it was, and the sharp impact to the bridge and the point that it hit and the large size of the vessel is really what caused the bridge to collapse so immediately. So it really was
A freak
combination of
event.
a lot of factors and variables that came together to cause that immediate collapse. But we do not think it was caused by some decaying infrastructure or something like that. This was really, truly just an accident. A large ship lost power and they were not able to steer clear of the particular bridge and hit it with great impact. So that's really what the cause is currently right now. And as I said, our focus from a public standpoint is really a search and rescue. We're focusing on the victims and their families.
Brent, good to talk to you. Brent Howard there, who is from the Baltimore County Chamber of Commerce. Many thanks for your time. Very grateful to you for that. And let's also talk to Dr. Andrew Barr from Sheffield University's Civil and Structural Engineering Department. And of course, all eyes really are on whether this was a structurally sound bridge. Andrew, what is your view of what happened and why the whole bridge, more or less, should collapse so quickly, having been hit by that cargo vessel?
Well, I think so. The videos that we see are of the central part of a much larger bridge, but this central part is a truss structure. So that sort of lattice type structure you can see is a truss, and that truss is continuous over those three spans of the bridge. So that's obviously acting as one structural piece. So essentially what's happened is whenever that ship has crashed into the pier of the bridge and damaged it, part of the bridge is now trying to span twice the distance it was previously, and that's why the bridge has then started to fail. It looks quite shocking that the whole thing then goes, so the damage propagates along the bridge and it all collapses in one go.
Is that in some way a design flaw that one hit by a vessel like that should bring down such a huge stretch of the bridge?
So in normal operation, the way this bridge works is actually beneficial because the continuous nature of the truss means that it can share the load between the different spans. It means you can build a much more efficient bridge, essentially a longer spanning bridge. The downside is then if you lose a key piece of the structure, in this case the pier, the bridge doesn't have the capacity then to support itself, and you get that sort of larger failure.
Fascinating.
I think I know you've been talking a lot about whether this shows any issues with the bridge structure itself. And I said that this failure is what you'd expect from this type of bridge, and it is down just to the ship coming in and hitting it, such a large impact from the ship.
And in terms of maintenance, I mean, we've been reassured by the authorities that it was regularly maintained. There were no issues with maintenance. But I mean, it's clearly very important with a structure like this that it is regularly maintained.
Yeah, absolutely.
All bridges get that in America.
Nothing I can see.
Same across the UK.
Is unusual in the way it collapses. That would suggest an issue with the structure or the maintenance.
Well, you hope that's the case.
One unusual aspect, perhaps, of this bridge is that the ship can come into contact with that pier. Many more modern bridges will have additional structures to help prevent a collision like this happening in the first place. So you might have additional structures placed around the bridge that would intercept that ship collision before it actually reaches the bridge.
Fascinating.
Which doesn't seem to be the case here.
Very good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. That's Dr. Andrew Barr, who's from Sheffield University's Civil and Structural Engineering Department. Well, let's just recap then what we do know, and because we have had a briefing from the authorities there in Baltimore, where the mayor has described this as an unthinkable tragedy, but just the updates are that 6 people are still missing, still unaccounted for. Rescuers are still searching the icy waters of the river below the bridge, and it is thought that all those 6 were construction workers who were on the bridge fixing potholes at the time. A couple of other people were rescued from the river. Now, one of those has gone to hospital, the other was, we are told, unharmed. And the other information really is that we've heard that the ship that hit the bridge had lost control, and the crew did manage to alert the authorities, who then stopped traffic going over the bridge, in which case there would have been more casualties. You're
Fascinating.
watching BBC News.
Subscribe to the channel on Sun Gyms on the force. Be with you always. Come and spot the needs on the minute. That way, the needs through this. My friend's Mark and Jim, but every Friday, free type in ITF Friday. So he'll radio station show every Friday. And this is my friend Shane. For the years, every Friday, you name it, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. with Cindy Lou. Shane for the years radio station every Friday. And this is my friend, you name it, John and Lars show every Sunday, 9 to 12 live on the Woking radio station show. 9 to 12. Yeah, the weather's looking pretty unsettled with stormy weather coming in the next 3 or 5 side days across the south east for some reason. Especially over Easter weekend. You have your money. Please subscribe to the channel. Might be back.